What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Podcast 129, the Week 3 preview for the 2025 college football season. My name is Hunter Waldrop. To my right is Jake Stinchcomb, and right below us is the producer himself, Mr. Tyler Vaughn. Fellas, how we feeling this evening?
Good, man. Very grateful to be here, back again, previewing more football. This is what we love. I'm glad that we have an opportunity once a week to, with our busy schedules, to get together and talk ball, which is what we love and have a passion for. So excited to be here, man.
Yeah, same here. In the wake of things this week, it's good to get on here and just be able to talk to the boys, talk ball. So I'm glad that we can get away from our reality and take this time every week. So.
Yeah, you guys hit the nail on the head. This is an opportunity. Nothing's guaranteed. You know, we got to live every day like it's our last because you really never know when that might be. So I'm glad that we do get the opportunity as three friends on here just talking football, whether one person listens to us or 1,000 people. It doesn't matter to me because I enjoy doing this with you too. But let's anyways, enough of that. Like Tyler said, let's talk some ball. Let's be in our comfort zone here. Jake, lead us off, man.
Yeah, before I do, can you mind going back to the original slide? I want to shout out. I want to give Hunt some flowers real quick. Look at this thumbnail. Look at this intro. I mean, the purple background, aura. We have a great logo. We got the title. And then Diego Pisapavia and Nate Frazier, who's about to run for $150 on Saturday. Thank you, Hunter, for putting these slides together. We appreciate you. They look very, very good each week. So with that.
Dude, my man. Thank you.
With that, social media, baby. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. Go like our videos. Go comment on our stuff, good or bad. Tell us how bad our takes are or toot our horns as much as you can. We love it. Thank you guys for tuning in. Follow us on all of our social medias. We appreciate it.
Hey, I just want to add to this slide real quick. Ran some analytics on the YouTube today, doing some producer work. 50-something% of our watchers, our viewers, aren't subscribed. So I'm going to ask you guys, just hit that subscribe button for us. Get us to grow a little bit more. Tell your friends about us. If my general manager who said that he watched last week is watching, hey, Ross, you're great. So, just wanted to shout out the old GM over at Phil Hughes Honda.
Yeah, no, I last night at my Bible study, one of my buddies like, hey, you got a podcast? I think I heard that correctly. And I was like, yeah, I do. I mean, I was like, dude, we talk about college football enough. That's something that interests you. He's like, dude, I'm open to anything. So, Kafari, if you're listening to this, man, thank you. We appreciate you. Guys, everybody's got a Google account. Just go make a little YouTube. And even if you don't listen or, if your parents are a little bit older, you got grandparents out there, it's nothing wrong with taking their phone, getting the YouTube app, and just hit subscribe to Podcast 129. Nothing wrong with it. It's completely free. No charge. Jake, I know you said you had a 1st and 10 or a 2nd and short for us this upcoming round, and it's going to lead us right into the Week 3 preview. So, brother, I'll let you take the reins.
Yeah, so a little bit of a 2nd and short here for you to lead us into the preview of this week. Obviously, got a couple big games coming up on Saturday. 2 teams I want to talk about, and I want to present a question to you guys to see your opinion. You don't have to elaborate, or you can. Up to you. Clemson lost at home week 1 to LSU, the number 3 or whatever team they were in the country, by a touchdown. Struggled last week at home as well, but ultimately survived. They are now 1-1 and travel to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, a team that's up right now. Haynes King status is still up in the air. Big game coming up for Clemson on the road. Notre Dame, a team that lost on the road week 1 to another ranked opponent, the Miami Carson Becks, and they started out 0-1, got a bye week this week before Texas A&M, a team with a lot of offensive playmakers, Le'Veon Moss, Marcel Reed, KC Concepcion, got him in the portal, Mike Elko in year 2, coming to town to Notre Dame. My question to you two, who is in more trouble if they lose on Saturday and have 2 losses?
That's easy for me because Well, I guess I'll go ahead and start this conversation now because when we get to the Notre Dame A&M game, the first question I was going to ask, I'll ask it on first and 10. If Notre Dame loses this game, are they out of the playoff? That was going to be my question. Like, is this in a playoff elimination game for Notre Dame? And so to answer your original question, Jacob, who's in more trouble? The answer is Notre Dame. You know why? Because Clemson, this is their first conference game. Who's to say that they don't go 7-1 in the ACC, play in the ACC championship, and win the ACC, even if they go 9-3 or 10-2, whatever it might be? They still have a chance at the automatic qualifier. Whereas you got Notre Dame, if they're 10-2 and they have 2 ranked losses, hang on here. I don't have their schedule pulled up in front of me, but it consists of
Their best win would be USC, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, the point I was going to go into was that I know they have Arkansas, who is not projected to make a bowl game. They have NC State, who's not projected to make a bowl game. They have Syracuse, who's not projected to make a bowl game. They have Pittsburgh, and then they have USC. Those are like their 5 other like hardest games. I know they got Navy on there. I think they got Stanford on there, who is god awful. So it's like USC and Navy. Navy's like a quote unquote competitor in the American Athletic Conference. But like, if they beat USC, that'd be their best win, and you'd have to like pray to God they're ranked. They have nothing to like bank on as far as competitive wins. And I definitely see a world. Actually, there is a world out there. I don't want to say definitely. I don't want to make it sound like this would 100% happen because Notre Dame carries such a name for themselves, and who's to say they don't finish the year on 10 straight wins. But I'll go and tell you right now, if they lose this game to A&M, they're not going to end the year on 10 straight wins. They will go 9-3. But let's say they do. There is a world out there where a 9-3 Big Ten or SEC team gets in and jumps Notre Dame. Or they get their bid stolen from a conference champion who wasn't expected to win their conference.
Yeah. Colin?
I'm in the same boat as Hunter. I think this game is a must-win for Notre Dame just because they don't have a chance to win a conference title and get the automatic bid into the playoffs. I think Hunter hit the nail on the head that if Clemson loses this game and they win out the rest of their ACC games, make the ACC championship, and they're probably going to play Miami, who, you know, if they come back and if they end up winning that game, they're in. So I think that this game means more to Notre Dame because they already have the loss on their schedule. They already have, you know, that they don't have any room to play with. They've got to win. And realistically, they can drop one, but shit, if a 10-2 Notre Dame and the way this year might shape out, they could be very easily left out. I mean, you never know. So I think that Notre Dame has to win this game, get back on track, and they don't have any room to play with, in my opinion.
Yeah, y'all both bring up good points. And when I first thought about this question, using it, and at first glance, I feel like it's Clemson. The answer is Clemson. If you're a general college football fan, and I'm not saying we're better than anybody else, but we look at the schedules, we dive deep into the schedules. I like that we do that. You would think that it's Clemson just because they're in a conference and Notre Dame's not. Everybody knows that. Clemson also has the rest of the season in front of them as far as ACC play goes and could easily get in with a 7-1 conference record or 8-1 conference record, whatever it is. Notre Dame, on the other hand, I don't think – I know we say every year 10-2 Notre Dame in the new 12-team playoff. They're going to be in the playoff every year as long as they go 10-2. And I think this year there's an exception for that. If they go 10-2 with losses in week 1 and 3 to Miami and Texas A&M, the teams with the most pulse out of anybody they're going to play, their best win is potentially, like Hunter was saying, USC or at Pitt on the road. And those aren't two quality wins when you're looking at 9-3 Oklahoma, who's got to play one of the hardest SEC schedules. I think a team like Oklahoma finishing at 9-3, I think they get in over a 10-2 Notre Dame who loses to A&M and Miami. So interesting stuff. I didn't mean to get us out of sequence, but I see that Hunter has went ahead and brought up the preview for this game. So let's just go ahead and talk about it while we're visiting it. I think that's a good place to start. I've been talking for a minute. Tyler, you start. Actually, let's do this. Hunter always starts out the conversation and brings us in. I want to let Hunter start because he always the pressure's always on him. He always has to get it started. So, Hunter, what are your thoughts on this game Saturday night, Notre Dame, Texas A&M?
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Jake. So I do have a few notes written down here, not as much as I'd like, but some key questions here is like, can Notre Dame move the ball on the ground? Like, was Miami just like Miami is such a good defensive team as we saw through that game against Notre Dame. Like, I think Notre Dame's offensive line is still good. I don't think it's as good as it was last year or maybe 2 years ago, but it's still a good offensive line. Can they move the ball on the ground with their running back? Not just I know we saw a lot of QB draws, but like, dude, I don't think Notre Dame should be going into this game like, let's drop CJ Carr back 25, 30 times like they did against Miami, okay? Because they got pushed back against Miami. I feel like to go on the other side of the line of scrimmage there, like Miami ran the ball very well on Notre Dame, especially in that third quarter. Like that interior of the defensive line might be a liability where I think A&M has got a really good offensive line. I think A&M's offensive line is one of the most underrated and a top 5 offensive line in the country. Not one that gets enough praise. Have they met and have they decided, okay, let's hand the ball to number 4? They got to get the ball to number 4. They have to run the ball with Jeremiah Love. He's the best back in the country. I think he only, 9, 12 carries? Dude, he should be getting 20 touches a game, especially like that first game on the road at Miami. That confused me. They're going to have to do that this game. And I think another key for the defense, they're going to have to make Reed beat them with if they want. I think one way, I guess the best way I'm trying to put this here is that like they have to make Marcel Reed beat him with his arm. They cannot go into this game and make him beat them with his legs. Like it cannot happen. They cannot lose this game by Reed beating him with his legs. He's going to have to beat him with his arm. Flip side of this, I don't think, like, I don't know, does A&M have a special defense or they played like very soft competition? Like, I don't know. And like, is their defense just really good? Like, I know UTSA is a pretty solid team. They scored like 20 points on them, but like Utah State, I'm not going to gain too much from that game. Like I said, I think they have a great offensive line and they have gotten better at wide receiver. So this is a very intriguing matchup. The line has came down to 6.5 here. Notre Dame, a week to review film. I don't know. I hate to do this because I do this every episode, but like, what are your guys' thoughts? I guess my 3 key takeaways on this game, and then before I give a score prediction here and pass it on to you guys, would be key takeaways and like previews to the game. 1, can Notre Dame generate more pressure on the quarterback? Can they do a better job of stopping the run game? Number 2, can Notre Dame establish a run game on offense with Jeremiah Love? And number 3, will the Notre Dame defense be able to force Marcel Reed to beat him with his arm? So those are my big 3 takeaways from this game. I do see it being low scoring. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'll hit this next. I think that Notre Dame's defense is built to force Marcel Reed to beat them with their arm because they're not going to give him a ton of time to get outside of the pocket. They do contain the quarterback well. We saw that against Miami. Carson Beck was in the pocket for most of the time, which that's the kind of quarterback he is. However, I felt personally that he was under some duress in that game, and I think that's how their defense has to put Marcel Reed under pressure because he will make mistakes. He's young. He's not super experienced. He played last year. He was a freshman, right? Yeah. So he doesn't have a ton of experience under his belt. He did play a lot last year, but this is a big test for him. And I think if you can create pressure and get to the quarterback, you're gonna see success for them. And again, I think I agree with Hunter. Notre Dame's got to find a way to move the ball on the ground. Texas A&M's going to have a solid defense. They always do. They have a very talented roster. But for Notre Dame, CJ Carr is not going to win you this game. Jeremiah Love is. CJ Carr is a good football player. They're going to be able to throw the ball, move the ball around. However, it's going to come down to can they run the ball to set up CJ Carr for the big throws, for the big play. The way I see it, Notre Dame will struggle early. I think that they will end up figuring it out, though. End up getting some pressure to Marcel Reed. I've got Notre Dame taking this one late. I'll go 31-28 Notre Dame. I think it'll be closer than the spread.
Good deal. Y'all both touched on it with Notre Dame, and this is anybody who watches football can say this after week one. They've got to get the ball in Jeremiah Love's hands more. And I think on Saturday night, this game is a 7:30 kick, correct? Am I mistaken on that? Or is this a day game?
I think that's a night game.
With LSU and
yeah, it's 7:30 on NBC.
Okay. So yeah. Sorry, that doesn't matter at all. But got to get the ball in his hands more. I think if you get if they're in a spot Saturday night where CJ Carr is throwing the ball 30, 35 times on Saturday night, they're not going to win. They're going to win this game playing good defense, fundamentally sound football, mistakeless football, and running the football with Jeremiah Love and Price, the backup. Big concern for me about Notre Dame, aside from that, after week one, and I know it's a small sample size, but it was a Miami team who is legit. Hunter, you talked about it. Their interior defensive line got kind of bullied by Miami's offensive line. Miami ran the ball pretty comfortably throughout the game, and I think that's something that Texas A&M is going to be able to use to their advantage this Saturday with Le'Veon Moss, Ruben Owens, and Marcel Reed, all three guys that can run the football very well. Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame, they're a team. It feels like it's the same thing that we kind of talked about this. They always find a way to lose, get just bullied for three quarters, and then all of a sudden in the fourth, it's like, oh shit, Notre Dame's about to win this game. I don't think that's the case on Saturday night. I believe A&M needs this game, and I say that because A&M's feels like right now they're stuck in tier 2, tier 3 of the SEC. Mike Elko just came in. They always get in these big-time games, which it's only been a year with Mike Elko, but these big-time games like last year with Texas, last year with Notre Dame also. They played Notre Dame last year, right, at home and lost. They always get in these big-time spots, and they're like a touchdown or so dog, can't get it done. I feel like it's the same. I have the same feeling as I did last week with Oklahoma and Brent Venables. Like Mike Elko, it's only game, 14 or 15 for him at A&M, but he needs a stamped good win that says, hey, we're on the map, especially in the SEC. And I think that he's got the guys to do it on offense. I don't think their defense has ever been a problem. I think the past 2 weeks they've been going through the motions with the two teams they played. Defense isn't a problem. It's just been, can the offense put up points? And I think they're able to do that on Saturday night. Obviously, you got Marcel Reed with a year under his belt. You got Le'Veon Moss. You got Ruben Owens, who was out all of last year. He's healthy now. You got Concepcion, who the transfer that came in through the portal. Mario Craver, a name to look out for, 2 straight 100-yard games, already got 3 touchdowns. I know it's not anybody's schools, but 2 back-to-back 100-yard games at Texas A&M. Something to look out for there. So they got playmakers, good backfield, dual threat quarterback. I got A&M winning this one in a low-score affair. Give me the Aggies 20-17.
Wow. You took them out right, huh?
I'm doing it. Sorry, I'm doing it. I got to do it.
I'm going to take Notre Dame. I'm going to take them 27-21. So that would mean A&M on a half-point cover. I don't think I'll be touching the spread on this game. I think I am going to sit back and watch it as a fan. I say that now. We'll see come Saturday night. But I do slightly lean A&M to cover, but I do like Notre Dame to win 27-21. And to continue on the topic of the 1st and 10, we also talked about the Clemson Tigers. They are ranked 12th in the country right now. Some are saying that is ranked too high. And they are going on the road to Atlanta to Bobby Dodd Stadium. A few things to note here. Obviously, as you can see on the screen, the spread is 3. At some places, you get it 2.5. Georgia Tech is the most public dog this week. This line a week ago was 8.5 points. It is now down to 3 or 2.5, like previously said. Clemson has not looked good in 2 weeks of football. Now, granted, they did only lose by 7. Probably could have been 10 to LSU. However, they did just lose by 1 possession, came down to the last play. Georgia Tech went on the road. Colorado turned the ball over 3 times in the first 8 minutes, still won by a touchdown. Very impressive stuff. Haynes King, everybody's saying he's questionable, bro. This guy's playing. It was a rest game against Gardner Webb. I know it's like up in the air. Oh, well, Haynes King's going to play against Clemson. That's just who he is as a competitor and as a teammate. So I do fully anticipate Haynes King playing in this game. Dude, I don't know. Like, it's so easy for me to be like, yeah, Tech's going to win. Like, with Brent Key's typical, he beats these teams. He wins these games. He beats these teams. He did it with Miami last year. He almost did against Georgia. Like, he beats and gets his team ready for these games. And like I said in the week 2 recap, I was like, dude, like, I'm almost jumped off the entire boat with Clemson. This is a coin flip type of game for me. Jake, I am interested to see. I think I know where you're leaning, but Jake and Tyler, please feel free to add some thoughts to this.
Yeah, to me, this is the hardest game of the week to get a read on. And I think that comes just from, one, what Clemson's looked like through 2 weeks, and 2, the line movement. I know we shouldn't talk about that when we're actually like picking the game, but it's a factor. The fact that it's dropped down so much and it's continuing to drop is kind of go ahead, Hunt.
Yeah, all I was gonna say is like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't talk about. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, dude. Just like gambling can tell you a lot about the outcome of a game.
Yeah.
So like maybe for people who are casual fans, like don't understand some of this stuff. Like if you get to know it, and I don't want to say study it, because that means you might be low-key an addict. But like if you know what it means and stuff of that nature, you will understand that like this is like red sirens popping off. Like I don't know if this is correction by Vegas or if this is just a lot of money coming in on Tech. But go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, so I think it comes down, and a lot of, like you talked about Haynes King being questionable. I think he's going to play. This is the biggest game on the schedule until Georgia for Georgia Tech. Clemson's left tackle, starting left tackle, his health, and he's questionable. That's up in the air. And Antonio Williams, Klubnik's number 1 receiver, is also questionable for Saturday. So 2 key things to look at for Clemson offensively there. I think this game comes down to Haynes King versus a matchup between Haynes King and Clemson's second level linebackers, Sammy Brown, Wade Woodaz. Is that his name? Is that their other backer they got? Can those guys, we know that they're good. Can they stay at home? That's a big thing with Tech playing this offense, Buster Faulkner's offense, staying at home and keying in on Haynes King. I think that's a big matchup to look out for. And then on the flip side, Clemson, I think they're going to have to run the ball. I just don't see, with Antonio Williams' health being questionable, they haven't really been able to get a push up front through 2 weeks. And I think that's a big matchup to look at is Tech's defense, their front 7 versus Clemson's offensive line. I want to see them get Randall going, use Klubnik's legs a little bit more. This I'm still up in the air on this one, but I'm not shying away from the fact that that ship's sinking as we speak. I'm going to go Georgia Tech in this spot. I'll go 31-27 Yellow Jackets.
So somebody said this to me the other day, and I don't remember who it was, but it's almost so clear that Clemson or that Georgia Tech is. You should bet Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech can get the upset. Then it's like, bro, it's not going to happen. You've seen it multiple times in our lifetimes. There's a surefire upset. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it would be pretty big if it did happen, but with everybody going and leading Georgia Tech's way, it's like it almost like makes me not want to bet them because it's like everybody's picking them. And in this game, it's going to come down to is Kincaid Klubnik get back to where he's supposed to be. Dabo is going to have Clemson ready. He's going to. He's been here before many times. Very successful coach. Brent Key is going to have Georgia Tech ready. It's going to come down to can Cade Klubnik play the way he's supposed to, and can they stop Haynes King? Haynes King running the ball is going to be their biggest threat. I think that Clemson can do that. I think they have. I said it in the preview. One of these previews. I think they have one of the best, if not the best, front seven in the country. I think they're going to be able to contain Haynes King. I've got Clemson winning this game. I'm going to go with the score of 35-28.
Ooh, this one was not easy for me, but just this is not the right way to pick a game, so please don't do this. But if I've learned anything from like paying attention to gambling lines and the way that people bet, Georgia Tech's the most public dog this week. I'm fading the public. I'm going to pick Clemson to win. I'm going to pick Clemson to cover 28-24.
Good stuff. And Tyler, you bring up, or y'all both bring up a good point about like it's almost like it's too good to be true. But I'm playing a little bit of a mental game where it's like it's so obvious and it's there, and Clemson's look the way they have, like they're just gonna win. I don't know how to explain like the thoughts I'm having about it, but this line has just jumped so rapidly. And they're going to be the most public dog. And then on Saturdays, the guys like us are going to be like, okay, well, let's take Clemson because we're getting Clemson at 1.5, 2.5 points. And then it's like, oh shit, Tech just went and busted that ass. I don't know. This is the hardest one to read on the slate for me this week, but good stuff. Sorry, just want to throw that out there.
Jake, like I totally understand what you're saying. When you
like
say
trying to like play a mental game against the line movement. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking about another game that had a lot of line movement, and this game is the game of the week. Game day's going there. It's all eyes in Knoxville this week. You want to talk about a game that had a lot of line movement. This is the second most public dog this week. The Tennessee Vols at home taking on and bringing in Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs to Knoxville. Once again, this line was upwards of a touchdown, anywhere between 7.5 and 8 last week. And on Sunday, it was down to like 7.5, 6. Monday, this line is 3.5, 4, and it has been a pretty consistent 3.5 for the past few days. Ooh, I have a lot of notes on this one. Tyler, I'll let you go first.
I'm not going to dive too deep into this, man, because I think it's so up in the air that I don't know how to dive deep on this one. Georgia obviously has not looked great. Their defense is going to play Georgia football. They're going to play well. They have absolutely smoked Tennessee for the last, I don't even know how long it feels like. I think that Georgia will get it figured out this week. I think last week they came out a little lackadaisical. I think that, they're awake now. They know who they're playing. They know what's going on here. And I think Jake said this the other day to me, and Jake, I don't want to steal any of your thunder here because I know you'll have something to say, but Kirby Smart has this team exactly where he wants them. And the fact that they haven't looked good, everybody's doubting them, everybody's counting them out. I've heard so many people saying Tennessee. I don't see it. I think that Georgia will play Georgia football. They will be able to move, they will move the ball, whether it's on the ground or, Gunnar Stockton figures it out. They're going to have guys that get open. They're going to figure it out. They're in a good spot is what I think. I think Kirby will have the boys ready to go. I've got Georgia winning this game handedly. I've got Georgia winning this game 38-24.
I'll go next, and Jake and Tyler, you as well, feel free to join in. Mine's going to be a little bit more discussion based, so if you guys like to hop in and say anything, please feel free to cut me off because I'm going to be reading most of the stuff off my notepad, so I'm not directly looking up here. So the first thing I wrote down is we're going to find out a whole lot about both these teams. This is like the find out game for both Georgia and Tennessee, and it's going to set the tone for the rest of their season. And Tyler, you brought up a good point. UGA has whooped Tennessee. Like Kirby Smart is like the one guy that's like figured out the Tennessee offense. 8 years. 8 years in a row, Georgia has taken care of business against Tennessee, whether it's been at home, whether it's been in Knoxville. Kirby Smart has taken care of business here. So not going to beat around the bush here. The key thing for me in this game is the Georgia offensive line is the mystery of this game. Like, I think the Georgia offensive line will determine the outcome of this game. Are they healthy? Apparently, they're getting 2 guys back. Great news to hear. But is the offensive line gelled together? Like, are they good to go? And then everything else plays off of that. So, like, Stockton. Obviously, Gunnar Stockton has not looked the best through 2 games, right? Like, a lot of people coming out and be like, oh, he's not throwing the ball down the field. He's not like, we got Noah Thomas, we got Colby Young. He's not like giving him one-on-one opportunities. It's lots of check downs, lots of screens. Well, is that a Stockton thing, or are they just forced to play Marshall and Austin Peay? And Kirby's like, nah, we're just not going to put this on tape. Pull the good old Saban. We'll wait till we go up to Knoxville and show them what we're really about. And so they're a little bit more limited in that sense. Or is that Gunnar Stockton just not being a good quarterback and going through his reads too fast? Like, his average yards per attempt is 4.5 yards. That is really bad against Austin Peay and Marshall. Like I said, UGA went out and attacked the portal for their wide receivers. They bring in Zach Branch. They bring in Noah Thomas. Have the 2 weeks been flukes, and they're just not using them, like I said, or are they going to get involved this week? With all that being said, but we have seen from this UGA, will the game plan change? Like, will they show what the real offense is like? I think Georgia can lean on their run game. I think they got a good back in Nate Frazier, but he has to hold on to the football. Like he has a turnover problem. He has a fumble problem. He's going to have to hold on to the football. But, I think if they run RPOs, Gunnar Stockton is such a threat with his legs that it might turn out to be good for Georgia. But turnovers can change the game here, guys. That's another key. I have 4 keys written down. The first one being Georgia's offensive line. The second one being turnovers here. I know I kind of hinted on it with Nate Frazier, but the last thing you want to do to give to a hungry Tennessee team that hasn't beat you in 8 years while you're on the road is turn the ball over. You don't want to do that in any football game, but especially not in this one. That can completely change the outcome of this game. The defense, though, for Georgia, this thing's built different. I think this is the best linebacking core they've had since 2021. A veteran C.J. Allen. I think Raylan Wilson's still there. They can run. These boys track down the football. They can close space so fast. I don't think Tennessee has seen a team that can play man coverage like the way the University of Georgia can. That's what I have on the University of Georgia. Moving on. Tennessee. The defensive line is good, but how healthy is Tennessee's defensive line? How good are they actually? They've played Syracuse, and which almost lost to UConn. So, Syracuse shaky. We don't really know what to take away from that game. And then they played directional Tennessee last week. Something I wrote down here, guys, I really hope this sticks because I was the first one to come on this podcast and call Joey Aguilar G5 Joey, right? So I wrote down, don't forget why his name is G5 Joey. Maybe Joey has it. He's looked good. He looks like he's been in that offense for 4 years. Is the interception turnover problem gone? But then you look at it, it's Joey Aguilar hasn't faced any pressure. He's had a lot of wide open guys to throw to. He has not faced a defense who can play man like this. And the biggest thing above all that, like I said, is that Joey Aguilar hasn't faced pressure. I still don't know how good that Tennessee offensive line is. I know Tennessee they run the ball. That is what Tennessee's offense is, and then everything builds off of that. If you don't watch football or if you just think Tennessee throws the ball a lot because they throw the ball deep, that's not what happens. Their game is built off the run game. But I don't know how good Tennessee's offensive line is yet. And we really won't know until they face this Georgia front. So that's pretty much what I got. I guess, how does Tennessee cut the head off the snake? Let's go on a path for how Tennessee wins this football game, right? They're going to have to play physical at the lines of scrimmage, no doubt. They are going to have to run the ball effectively. I don't think there's a world where they can have Joey Aguilar throw the ball 40, 50 times and win this game. They're going to have to stop Georgia's run game. So their defensive line is going to have to step up and show that they can compete with the best. And they're going to have to shut down not just a 4 or 5 deep running back room, but also a running quarterback. They're going to have to dare Gunnar Stockton to beat him with his arm, like down the field. If they don't do that, they will not win this football game. They're going to, and on top of that, they're going to have to trust Joey Aguilar to beat the UGA defense with his arm. They're going to have to actually like have a threat. Here's the thing about the Georgia-Tennessee games is that, like, especially last year when they had Nico, Kirby Smart was never scared about Nico taking the top off the defense. But if Joey can take the top off the defense along with a complementary run game, eyebrows are going to be raised, and Tennessee is going to be riding this game till the very end. But they've never stretched the field against Georgia. Like I said, Kirby Smart has had the Josh Heupel offense figured out. They have never stretched the field against the University of Georgia. UGA finds ways to win, guys. I think it goes cover your ears, Bobo haters. And I'm one myself. I had to cover my ears when I heard this statement. But Bobo outcoached Tim Banks, the defensive coordinator for Tennessee last year. He had a great run game, great game plan. The most shocking outcome to me in this game would be if UGA just gives it away and Tennessee doesn't do anything special. Like, that's just not how Kirby Smart runs his teams. Like, if you're going to beat Georgia, you have to beat Georgia. And like I said, my 4 keys to the game: UGA offensive line versus the Tennessee physicality on their defense. I think it's Joey Aguilar versus Kirby Smart. I think it's Gunnar Stockton's arm, and I think turnovers play a key factor in this game. When it comes down to, for me, though, I just trust Kirby Smart in the spot, man. Like, Tyler kind of hit on it. You know, Kirby Smart, like last year, like 1-point win over Kentucky, just looking sloppy in some of these games, and then they go and beat the snot out of Texas and Austin. Gosh, they go into 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech, and then they play next week in the SEC Championship and beat Texas. So I just trust him in this spot. I'm going to roll with Georgia to win and to cover here. I'm going to go 27-23 Georgia.
Good stuff, Hunt. You and Tyler hit a lot of good points. So not much for me to clean up on here. I think that the way I look at this, Georgia and Tennessee, as we see it right now, want to play 2 different styles and want to win in 2 different styles of football. Tennessee, they want to spread things out offensively. They want to play a fast tempo game, and they want to score a shit ton of points every week. That's what their identity is. Run the ball, spread the receivers out wide, hit our deep shots. Let's score points. Let's run the scoreboard up. Not lean on their defense as much. Georgia, Kirby has talked about this. I've said this on talking about Georgia. They want to run the ball, stop the run, smother you for 4 quarters, and get out of there with a win. So I think whichever team is able to play their style and whatever tempo the game is at, the team that they like, whichever team prevents the other from playing their style of football wins, which I guess that's for any game. But I think the Georgia and Tennessee right now are on such opposite ends of the spectrum in the ways they want to win. As far as the game goes, it's hard for me to come up with new points from what y'all said, to be honest. But
there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with saying the same score, bud.
No, I had another point. I'm just trying to think about what I was going to say. Damn, I had a good one too. But Georgia, I just think it's another. I think it's a good test for them early, especially their secondary. But I think Georgia's the way more talented team all around, unbiased, especially their defense. Hunter, you talked about it. They're flying around. like crazy. And I do think a difference in this matchup between Georgia and Tennessee from the past several years is in the past, in the fourth quarter, the game does not matter. Does not matter, but Georgia, you feel like Georgia's going to win, and you can turn the TV off to another game that's close at the end of the fourth. I think this is a 4-quarter battle, and it's gonna with 4 minutes left, we're not going to know who wins the football game yet. I think that's a difference in this matchup rather than prior to several of the others, especially last time we went to Neyland. I was there for that one. So, and I think the biggest factor for me about both teams in this one is explosive plays. Tennessee, they want to hit these deep shots. And in the past, dating back, you got Nico, Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker. Since Hendon Hooker, each time they played Georgia, they've had the shots to take, and they've been there. They just haven't hit them. And they think that they got their guy in G5 Joey now to hit those deep, explosive plays. So if they can take advantage of those early and get Georgia in a spot where they're down 7, 10, 13 points, I think they're in a really good spot to win. Georgia, on the other hand, we haven't seen any explosive plays from Gunnar Stockton outside of 1 or 2 throws in the Notre Dame game last year. So I think that with Georgia explosive plays wise, I want to see Mike Bobo dial up some play action passes. Let's run the ball 3 or 4 times in a row and get a ground game going. And then all of a sudden we do a long mesh and hit Noah Thomas, hit Zach Branch, hit Colby Young over the top, and just hit the deep ball, hit the explosive play. So whoever hits more explosives, I think wins the football game. As far as the pick goes, run the ball, stop the run. Give me the Dogs 27-17 in Neyland on Saturday.
I know I said 27-24, but I want that strike from the record. I want it to be 27-23.
You said 27-24.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
Let's make it sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
One other thing to add here is that, like, we've seen this from both teams. I know I said Georgia looks like crap, and then, like, they go out and win. But, like, we've also seen the opposite side of this where, like, Tennessee goes and beats the crap out of teams. Like, they beat the crap out of NC State last year, and then, like, another directional school, and then they finally played a team with a pulse in Arkansas and lost. So this is not the first time we've seen this from either team. Also, like, what it comes down to for me is, like I said, I trust Kirby Smart. Like, I also, like, I'm going to have Tennessee prove it to me before I can pick them to beat them. So, especially with Joey. So, moving on here. Here are 4 other games. Just our quick hitters for the week. USF Miami, a ranked matchup. Who would have thought we'd been saying that in week 3? Vandy, South Carolina. Not enough people talking about Vandy, guys. And then Florida, LSU. And some people might raise their eyebrows like, oh, LSU's just going to win this game. And I'll get more into that in a second. And then we got Wisconsin, Alabama. So I find all 4 of these games very intriguing, right? So USF is everybody's darling right now. And it's almost like, well, they were 17.5-point dogs last week to Florida. They covered that. They won the game outright. Why wouldn't we just pick them to cover and potentially win? Like, I think Miami's a new beast here. I think South Florida doesn't even have to win this game. That's the biggest thing. But, like, I know that's not how Alex Golesh goes about it. We talked about this in the week 2 recap. But I like Miami to win and cover here. I do. I think it's also one of those, like, get up by 3 or 4 touchdowns and then just kind of put it on cruise control. We got Florida coming to town next week. It's a rivalry game. So very interested to see how this one plays out. It's like no hate towards South Florida, but I do think Miami wins. And then there is room for a backdoor cover here, but I'm going to go 38-20 Miami.
Good stuff, Hunt. You put it perfectly. I think you said that they're a new beast, I think is the way you put it. I am all in on Miami. At this point, I saw everything I needed to see through 2 weeks. I actually put a little sprinkle on the Hurricanes to win the national championship this year because you never know. All right. You stay healthy and you get the 12-team playoff, all bets are off. But, hey, South Florida, I think they've done what they've needed to do in the first 2 weeks. Like, we were looking at it, you had Boise and then you had Florida and Miami. You need to win at least one, and the hell they've won 2. But I truly believe that Miami is the official front runner in the ACC for one, and two, they are a few wins away, a few very dominant performances away from being in that national championship contender conversation. And I think that their defense is fantastic. Carson Beck, one of the best quarterbacks in the country. They got the freshman Tony making plays. They can run the ball. I think this is a different built train for Miami this year. I got them winning 38 to actually, I'll go 31-10 Miami.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. One more thing, Tyler, I don't mean to cut you off, but USF actually has Miami's attention now, right? Like probably 2 weeks ago, they wouldn't have had their full attention. Miami would probably just be game planning for Florida. But I go and tell you right now that Mario Cristobal is preparing for South Florida this week. It's a little bit different when you're in a look-ahead spot against lower classification opponent, but now it's okay, we got to lock in on these guys. And I think that changes the entire game plan and week of practice for the Hurricanes.
Question for you guys. If USF were to win this game, where the hell do you rank them?
Top 10, easy.
Yeah, you got to be top 10.
No, honest to God, I don't want to go into the AP poll tangent. That's something I will be stuck on for the next 25 minutes. You have to throw preseason expectations out the window. You can argue South Florida should be a top 5 team in the country, but I think they would at least be top 10. That's a short answer to that question.
I would say, yeah, I've seen some people say number 1, and I think that's bullshit. Let's be real. That's just me, though. I would say anywhere between 7 and 10 is where I think they would land.
That's crazy, though. I mean, South Florida's 1 win away from being a top 10 team in the country when shit. Never would have thought that would happen. I agree with what Hunter just said. Miami has to actually look into this game and treat it very seriously. It is a ranked matchup, which is intriguing to me. But I think Miami will be able to handle this game no problem. I think that they have a very talented roster. You guys have both touched on that already. Carson Beck looks good. I think Miami wins this game pretty handedly, but I also thought that Florida would beat USF handedly. So you never know. But I'm going to go Miami. I'll go 31-14.
Yeah, I think I gave USF too much credit there with 20 points, but let me roll 38-17. They might get a little back field goal to end the game, But I do like Miami to win and cover. Moving on, and I know I've hinted at it the past 2 episodes, but not enough people are talking about Vandy. Guys, I'm kind of buying in on that Vandy stock right now. And I've been one of those that have been low on South Carolina, right? So I think Lenore Sellers is just a little overhyped. Don't get me wrong. Guy can make plays. He can break out of a sack and gain 15, 20 yards on the ground, and he will run you over. And, yeah, I know they got, Nick Harbor, who's 6'6", and runs a fast 40, but, bro only had, one good long catch against Virginia Tech, who how much stock am I buying in their defense? The thing about Vandy, man, is you can just tell. They don't have a superstar. Diego Pavia is not a superstar, right? But he's a good quarterback. They have 2 good running backs. Now, they do have a great tight end. Stowers, that guy's legit. But they don't have a superstar wide receiver. They don't have a superstar on their defense. But they just play fundamentally sound football, and they believe in what they're doing, right? And Pavia's came out and said, South Carolina's the game he wished he had back more than anything else last year. I know it's on the road. I know it's a night game. Williams-Brice Trailer Park is going to be rocking, okay? I get that. Cocktober isn't even here yet, and these fans are buying in, okay? With all that being said, guys, I'm doing it. Vandy is also another public dog. I hate being on the public side here, but I'm rolling with the Commodores. I'm not betting against Pavia. I think they'll at least keep it within the 4.5 number that's posted right now, and it's probably going to continue to go down. So if you like Vandy, take them now. But I think they win the game outright. I'm just very high on him, man. Like I think South Carolina has a lot of individuals, or Vandy has a team. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys.
No, 100%.
Because it's like you got Lenore Sellers. Now I'm not saying that they necessarily play like individuals, but it's like when you can point at Lenore Sellers and Nick Harbor and Dylan Stewart, but it's like everything else is a little bit of a gray area. Whereas like I'd rather have a team that's a little bit more black and white all the way around than just a lot of gray that plays and they mix together well. Give me Vandy 27-23. Alt spread here. Vandy gets it done on the road. Pavia, baby. Jerry Kill, Clark Lee, give it to me. I'm buying in, and they should be ranked next week too.
Yep. I'm also right there with you, Hunter. I think I have more of a concern with South Carolina, just what we've seen through 2 weeks. I think them being ranked 11 is a little bit too high. A lot of hype around them. I haven't seen a well put together drive for South Carolina outside of their first scripted drive against Virginia Tech. We didn't see that. And it kind of looked, and Hunter, you took like the thoughts out of my head and said them. There are a bunch of individuals. It's not very meshed yet. And that I think hits the nail on the head. And Vanderbilt's a team. They're going to come in there and punch you right in the mouth and give you everything they got. And I'm going with Vanderbilt here too. Why are we picking against them? I mean, they showed us last year, showed it last week, just beat the brake shoes off of Virginia Tech. They got nothing to lose. They play like it. They rally around Diego Pavia. They play for Clark Lee. Give me Vanderbilt 24-23 in this one.
Yeah, I think both of you guys are we're all on the same wavelength here. South Carolina hasn't really proved a ton to me. I don't think they've looked great throughout the year. I think Vanderbilt has. And you look at the common opponent with Virginia Tech, and obviously off of that eye test, Vanderbilt has the advantage. Now, because we all three picked Vanderbilt, South Carolina is probably going to win this game by 35 freaking points. But I'm picking Vanderbilt to win this game 27-24. Late field goal wins it.
Dude, you took the words right out of my mouth. Whenever you said you're on the same page as me, I was like, dude, we're cooked. We are so cooked. Carolina, 2-possession game. Dude, we're screwed. But anyways, I do like the Commodores in that game. Moving on, and this isn't these next two games really like they're more intriguing to me than maybe a casual eye, whereas Florida's just coming off a loss to a G5 team, right? Then Alabama, we saw their stinker in week 1. These games are a little bit more intriguing to me for these reasons. All right, I'll start with Florida LSU. LSU, week 1, goes on the road to the other Death Valley and just really dominated the second half against Clemson and got the job done, right? Whereas Florida played a directional school in week 1, and then they played South Florida and lost to a G5 team in their own state. So everybody's already writing off Florida. When you say that, this line opened up at 9.5 on Monday. It's already down to 7.5. I went ahead and got some action on LSU today. LSU looked like crap last week, guys. And I didn't put them on if you watched our week 2 or listened to our week 2 recap, we did a teams that won but looked like garbage segment. And I very easily could have put LSU's 20-7 win over Louisiana Tech on there, where they were only winning 10-0 going into the fourth quarter. Okay. So, or 13-0, whatever it was. But this game's intriguing because I think it's going to come down to this, guys. Is Florida going to give up, or are they going to bounce back and fight? 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, Dan Mullen was head coach of Florida, and we saw this team literally give up, and it was like atrocious to watch. Florida football was terrible in Dan Mullen's last year, or his last few games especially, because like the team gave up. Just like the team gave up 2 years ago on Billy Napier in his second year. I'm pretty sure this is year 4. So if the team gives up, Billy's gone by week 5. But there is a world, like I still believe Florida is a talented roster, okay? I still think that DJ Lagway has potential. I know it's on the road at LSU, which is why I lean Tigers to cover in this game. But I think it's a little bit more intriguing because it's like it's so easy to write Florida off, but I'm not 100% ready to do it yet. because I want to see how they come out in this game. They could come out with a fire lit under their tail, and this is a game in the fourth quarter. But with the way LSU played last week, and I trust Brian Kelly a lot more than I trust Billy Napier. Like, he is pissed after that game against Louisiana Tech, whereas I can't tell what the heck Billy Napier feels. He's such a boring guy to look at and listen to in a press conference. And I think Florida's just too inexperienced here. LSU's the veterans. I'll take LSU 31-20 over the Gators.
Yeah, good stuff, Hunt. I also got LSU here. I think that we are due for a Garrett Nussmeier and crew offense explosion. Scored 17 week one against Clemson, 23 last week against La Tech. I think this is a spot where they know that they can put Florida in the dirt. I don't know. Like, yes, I can see where Florida this could be a game in the fourth quarter. If Lagway is one of those guys where when he's on the field, all bets are off. But they hear the talk around Billy Napier, and something I forgot to say about Florida when we were talking about them in the recap was it's bad when it's week 2 and your athletic director is having to send out notes on Twitter to fans saying that this is our guy. It's only week 2. It's bad. It's a shit fire. Right now at Florida, I think LSU explodes offensively here. Another bad loss for LSU. I mean, for Billy Napier. Give me LSU 45-24.
Yeah, I like that take. I think that LSU's due for offense as well, and Florida just doesn't have it. They just don't. Hunter, I find it interesting that it seems like you're more on the Florida boat than you are the Clemson boat at this point, which I'm the opposite. I'm off the Florida train or boat, excuse me. I don't think DJ Lagway's ready yet. I think he's still a little shaky. I've got LSU winning this game. I'll go 41-17.
Little BTA action, huh? No, I know, like, maybe my words seem that way, but it's probably just because of how high I was on Clemson rather than Florida, where I said Florida was like a 7-8 win team this year. But no, I would say I'm more in the boat with Clemson, but like I just find it very curious to see how this Florida team plays and how they especially come out of the gates against LSU. Moving on, Alabama hosting Wisconsin. This game's intriguing for the sole reason that it's like, well, yeah, of course Bama's going to win. You know, they're favored by 3 touchdowns, or Alabama. Well, fellas, we saw 2 weeks ago that does not mean anything. I don't know. I'm pumping the brakes on the overreactions to Bama, right? Like, it's not more so that I think Florida State's good, but like, and they're going to be a competitor in the ACC, but it's more of like, wow, they just like they didn't have it together. I know that they dropped 73 on Louisiana Directional last week, and that was good. But like, even against Louisiana Directional, they looked like they just had more effort and more want to and more care about them. Like, you could just tell. I'm very interested to see how that comes out against a Wisconsin team that does not have a lot of talent. Billy Edwards is out, their starting quarterback. They're not very good, but Wisconsin usually is pretty solid on the lines of scrimmage every year. So you don't want to get like put in a box, like in a telephone booth where you're just in a boxing match with Wisconsin. With that being said, I am going to take the Tide to win. I think they know that they cannot afford to have another stinker here. I'm going to roll 38-10 Alabama over Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think this game could be close early on, but Bama, they know the hill that they have to climb after week 1. DeBoer needs to get it figured out. I'll keep this short. I'll go the Tide. Let's go 27-10. Tyler?
Yeah, I think that last week was Kalen DeBoer's get back. You can see the players are rallying around him. I know there's been the talk about the team meeting that they all had that it was supposed to be players only, and Kalen DeBoer interrupted on that and came in and just fired everybody up. I think that they realized that They can't mess around anymore. I think the players have bought into Kalen DeBoer. They like him and they want him to stick around, and they know that if they slip up again, he won't be around much longer. I've got Alabama winning this game. I'm going to go by 17. I'll go 27-10 Alabama.
I said 38-10, right, Jake?
Yes.
Okay, good. I was making sure for some reason I thought I said 38-21. So Tyler's got the Badgers covering. A little back door there. All right, guys. On to everybody's most favorite segment of the week. So hope you actually watched the show and just ignore the Instagram page, because on this beautiful screen right here last week, I actually did pretty solid. I went 3-2, but on the Instagram page that the plays that we put out, I went 0-3. And it's ironic because none of those 3 plays were on the screen. So let's I'm gonna stick with my gut this week and just put the plays I actually put on here instead of overthinking it. I'll run through mine fast. So first play that came to my mind this week, I saw Oregon was anywhere between a 27.5 to 28.5 point favorite. I actually got it at 28.5 on Tuesday, and then today I saw it was at 27.5. You know what I did? I took it again because I'm so confident that they're going to go in there and put absolute belt to ass to Northwestern. This team, Dan Lanning, I don't know what it is, but in the regular season and early on in the season, these guys don't play around. They play every game like it's the dang Super Bowl, and they're going to drop as many points as they can. I think Dante Moore, Jake brought this up earlier this week. Got to give credit to him. Now, I didn't put a bet slip in, but Mr. Stinchcomb did for Dante Moore to win the Heisman. I feel like that's starting to creep up in the locker room. They're going to try and get this guy as many numbers as they can. So I'm all over the Ducks. Northwestern, trash. Oregon goes, and what they do to lower level competition compared to some of these other teams we talked about in the SEC especially, they don't mess around. They go in there and they blow them out. Give me the Ducks by at least 4 scores. Moving on. Tulane, money line. All right, guys. I've had 2 strikes with Duke in the same game last week. Tulane's hosting Duke. Darian Mensah back at Tulane this week. Give me Jake Retzloff and the Green Wave to get it done. John Sumrall, I think he's had this one circled. This would be Tulane's second P5 win, which I know it's Northwestern and Duke. I don't know what you would value more, one win over Florida on the road or wins over Duke and Northwestern, probably the Florida win, but still, it's still a G5 team competing with the ACC and the Big Ten. I think it's a big deal. They were dogs for a little bit yesterday at plus 120. Now they are favored again by almost 2 points. I got them at a pick 'em here. So show me Tulane on the money line. I think they get it done against their former teammate. Next up, Utah, traveling to Wyoming, home of Josh Allen. I don't know if you guys have watched Wyoming, but ever since their coach retired 2 years ago, they just forgot what football was. They just were like, let's go ski all the time. So they only scored 7-10 points against Akron. Akron, bro, the second worst team in all of college football. Utah's going to go in there and drop 40 on them, and they might not score. Give me the Utes minus 23. And then I'm buying in on that JKS hype, Tyler. You showed me the way 2 weeks ago in week 1. I was like, dude, why is this guy picking Cal with a true freshman on the road at Oregon State with a veteran like Malik Murphy? But then I saw JKS. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name tonight. My brain's too tired. But I like Cal plus 2.5 at home against Minnesota. I like that quarterback they got there. And then lastly, this has been a new auto tail until they prove me otherwise. So it's not really the team Buffalo. It's their opponent. They play Kent State. Yeah, Kent State's the worst team in all of Division I FBS football, and I would probably rank them halfway down the board in the FCS. They were losing 48-0 to Texas Tech last week at halftime. Yeah, at halftime. So until Kent State can prove to me that they're going to be competitive and cover a spread, I'm just going to take their opponent every week. So give me Buffalo minus 22.5.
Good stuff, Hunt. Love the Cal pick. Are we all in on Cal? Is podcast 129 a Cal team now? So first up for me, I'll go quick through these. Give me the dogs. Give me the dogs. That's all I've got to say. on Saturday in Neyland. UAB, shout out to UAB, -9.5 at home. They play Akron. Akron is a team I've been against both weeks that they played. They have yet to score a point. We got weather coming in Birmingham, a big storm over the South this weekend, potentially. I don't know where that's at right now, but I don't care. Akron has yet to score a point. Traveling down from Ohio all the way down to Birmingham. UAB's coming off of emotional loss last week against Navy. They were tied at half. So I got UAB covering here. They roll. Akron doesn't have an offense. Arizona State, Texas State, over 58.5 points. I think this number's up to 60 now. I got it at 58. Texas State, they've scored 43 in week 1 and 52 points. 43 and 52 were their first 2 scores against nobodies, but that's still a lot of points. I think Sam Levitt's due to figure it out offensively. That offense, I think they're going to get rolling. This is a game to do so. Need to come out hot, obviously, after last week. Last year when these two teams played, 31-28, it was 28-28 going into the fourth, and Arizona State kicked a field goal to go up and win. Points. One of the later games on the slate. I'll be tuning in at 10:30 on Saturday night. Give me the over in this one. Georgia Southern, Hunters alma mater, -3.5 at home against Jacksonville State. Home opener. Southern, kind of an expected 0-2 start, maybe 2 straight games on the road against Fresno State and USC. Got a home opener against the Jacksonville State team coming off of an emotional win last week at home against Liberty. One of the front runners to be that G5 spot per usual. A long day for them last Saturday after a rain delay, and now they go to travel to Statesboro, one of the most hostile environments in the country, on Saturday night with the home opener. Yeah, give me them damn Eagles. Get after that ass, baby. Good spot for Georgia Southern. Finally, my favorite play of the week. This is awesome. Nightcap little 2-man parlay here. Give me LSU at home on the money line, parlayed with our man Jeremiah Love to get in the end zone at home against Texas A&M. Not enough carries against Miami in week 1. He's had 2 weeks to get his ass in gear. Give me Jeremiah Love to get in the end zone, parlay with LSU. Just beat them damn Gators, -110. Those are my best bets of the week.
I do have some comments on this. I know we usually don't rebuttal these. It's not really a rebuttal because I do think it is a good spot for my Georgia Southern Eagles. Considering that Jacksonville State came off a very, very close loss to UCF, a Big 12 B4 team, and then get an emotional win, like you said, and yet Georgia Southern's favored by more than the field goal on a team that's 0-2 at home. I like the spot. I'll be tailing the Eagles this weekend. Texas State did not play nobody last week. They were in a rivalry game against UTSA, so just wanted to throw that out there. It was a very fun game to watch. And then I am 100% tailing. LSU money line, Jeremiah Love touchdown. That's happening for that. That should just be our squad ride this week. But
I love it.
I just want to tap in on those. Tyler, go ahead.
So my best bet, starting with Stanford, they're going to play host to Boston College. The Eagles of Boston College have to go literally almost as far as you can go across the country to play this game. I think Stanford keeps it close if they don't win it. So I'm going to take Stanford spread at +12.5. I took LSU spread at -7.5. I think that they absolutely put belt to ass on Florida. So I'm confident in that pick. I did pick Vandy to win, so I'm taking their spread. If they don't win, I think they keep it closer and it's more of a field goal game. USC's going to Purdue. I think Purdue is still a terrible football team, and USC's offense has looked very good. Purdue's offense hasn't looked great anyways. They're 2-0, but they haven't looked that great.
I can get you a 20 out there too. If you want, it's moved down to 20. So
yeah,
I'll adjust this for you.
Let's do it. So I've got a USC -21, and then jumping on that Oklahoma train. They're gonna blow out that nobody they're playing. I don't even remember who it is.
They're playing Temple, but I can get you a 20.5 there. And I will say, as the biggest Oklahoma Glazer out there, it's a little bit of a sketch spot. Like I feel like it's one of those get in, get outs, but they should win by 3 scores, right? Right.
Right. So because I picked them to win by 3 scores, they'll probably win by a field goal. But I'm going to pick them anyways. Oklahoma minus 21.5.
Good stuff, guys. Good picks this week. All right, so now we have our 3-leg parlay here. Tyler chose Oregon minus 27.5, which, as y'all know, I already like as well. I'm rolling with the Utes of Utah minus 23, and then Jake, I
got something to prove this week. Just trust me. Sit back and let it unfold, fellas.
Dude, I'm just gonna be honest. I think they'll win. Like, I'll take them on the money line.
Back-to-back night spots. Got embarrassed last week at home. Brent Price coaching for his life. We got one of the best athletes at quarterback going against Old Dominion. Old Dominion, they're a gritty team now. But, hey, just sit back, enjoy, let it ride. That's all I'm going to say.
That one's – I think I hate to be that guy, but I'm not laying the 6.5. I'm just going to let it be known on record here that I'm taking Virginia Tech money line in this parlay this week. Moving on, our Saturday shockers. Okay, I didn't bring this up in my best bets, the lockbox, whatever. But New Mexico plus 15.5 is something I've already got American currency on. They play UCLA. I think UCLA's dog. I don't know if you watched them play. Their offensive line is garbage. Nico with like the stupidest decision of all time doing what he did. Like, they're just not good at football. Like, they're really bad. And New Mexico played really solid against Michigan in the Big House. And I think, what was it, 34-19, 34-13? So I think that they're going to be just as competitive in the Rose Bowl in front of, 5,000 fans, if that. Jason Eck can coach, man. Give me the Lobos. Plus 450. I guess I definitely have the longest odds this week for my Saturday shocker, but I really like the Lobos this week.
Good stuff. And while we're talking about Saturday shockers, if you parlay all 3 of these bad boys outright, throw down a crisp $5 bill, and all 3 of these bad boys hit, you're bringing home $200 to pay for the drinks this weekend. That's all I'm saying. My Saturday shocker, I don't think it'd be that big of a shocker, but I think how I interpreted this, and the reason I put it there is the shock around the world if Clemson starts out 1-2. Clemson, I love Clemson so much, if y'all didn't know. That's my Saturday shocker because there's going to be some people losing their shit if Clemson starts 1-2, and I'm going to be one of them.
So I went with West Virginia, the backyard brawl. They're playing Pitt. I think that anything can happen in that game. So I've got my eyes on West Virginia to take that one, get it done. I got them at plus 215. So I like my spot here. Might throw a little currency on that one. So
yeah, West Virginia Pitt backyard brawl, underrated rivalry. I like the dog in this game. I actually took it a day early. It's up to 7 now. I got West Virginia at plus 6.5. I always take the dog in this game. And anybody knows how much it means to the state of West Virginia, it's Rich Rodriguez. So good pick, Tyler. And Jake, yours is good too. I picked Clemson to win the game. So, but I could definitely see it happening. All right, guys, that'll do it for our week 3 preview. As always, I know I say it as a little bit of a cliche and, it might sound like a habitual thing, but I promise you it does come from deeper parts. Guys, there are bigger things out there than football. We are very blessed by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ to come on this show and live in a country where we have opportunity to just have the stuff we have to record and to put stuff on YouTube and to be able to have something fun that we can do and have a free voice as 3 friends on this show. So, guys, always remember there's stuff bigger than football out there, and God first, God bless.
Tyler, got anything? Oh, just me, Tyler. Tyler's good. All right, guys. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, you can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're on YouTube right now, give us a subscription there, comment on our video, like on our video. We appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good weekend watching ball. As always, enjoy the moment. Enjoy whatever you're doing at all times. We appreciate it. That's podcast 129.